Right, Vice Chair of the call. We are live and good to go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for coming in out of this gorgeous sunny spring afternoon to a meeting indoors. Very good of you. Just calling the meeting to order at 4:00. Just calling.
Sorry, my apologies. I'm sorry to be here before on a weekday.
I'll read the land acknowledgement and then you can take it. Okay. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Cavan-Monaghan is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory in the traditional territory of Mississauga, Anishinaabe. We hope our gratitude to First Nations for their care for and teachings about these lands. May we honor these teachings. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Apologies again for being a bit late. Approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any comments, omissions? No, can I have a motion to approve the agenda? John, seconded by Maureen, all in favor? Wonderful, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to number 6. Minutes.
Sorry, you have to ask number 4 though. Disclosure.
Sorry, sorry. This, any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof before we proceed? No? I need to approve that, Mark?
No, you don't.
Okay. Well, we're in closed session.
No, there's no closed session. Sorry, that was I normally remove it from the meeting. I forgot to remove it from the template.
Okay. So do we need to make a motion to remove it from the agenda?
No, it just doesn't need to be included.
Okay, moving on to number 6, minutes. Minutes of the meeting held March 24th. Thank you for including them as part of the agenda package. Anybody have any comments, concerns, additions? No? Wonderful. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held March 24th? Okay. Sorry, no, I just didn't know who went first. Saskia, seconded by Lance. All in favor? Wonderful, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to section 7, reports, financial report, Chris Allison.
So contracted services, $2,000, so nothing's been used out there yet, but we do have the tree order in the queue right now, so the invoice for that is $285.62, which will leave $1,714.38. Materials and supplies, out of the 4,800 we have, nothing's been spent, so we're at 4,800.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Any questions for Chris? Have a motion to receive the financial report. Don, seconded by Gary, Lance, all in favor? Wonderful. Parker report, Meredith Carter.
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Chair. Our conservation land staff continue the ongoing cleanup efforts and are working towards opening all of our trails and conservation areas, but the majority of them still remain closed. Our monitoring programs are commencing in April, so you'll start to see our staff out collecting surface water samples throughout the watershed. We're also initiating our education program delivery, so we'll be out at schools, and we did come and deliver the spring water awareness program to Millbrook South Cavan School, so that was great. We were also here last week for the Earth Day event, so that was lovely. Got to see a whole lot of people. You had fantastic attendance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I was just going to comment, Meredith was handing out all the trees, so it was lovely, and offered to bring our seedlings to us to this meeting, which was lovely of her too, but I had a hair appointment, so I couldn't come up. Yeah, but it was really nice to see Orchid's new digs. I hadn't been up to their new offices up near Portage Place Mall before. I always imagined them right on the water, but such is not to be.
Nope.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that offer, Meredith.
Any other questions? Was there much damage to Orchid property
Yeah.
from the storm?
Significant, yes.
And so those, you mentioned opening of trails, has that been delayed because of that?
Yes, yeah, the Jackson Creek Trail, I believe, has reopened. The rest are still closed.
Okay, any other questions? No, wonderful, thank you. Motion to receive Meredith's report. John, seconded by Saskia, all in favor? Wonderful, thank you. Okay, trail report. So Kat, Saskia, and Griffin, were this month. Griffin has mentioned in his email, and as for the last meeting, he was unable to join today, but hopefully everybody got a copy of his report. We can go through it, but why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I also sent mine out just because I took pictures and I thought there was a lot more because of the workday. In general, there's debris everywhere from the storm, but most of the large stuff's been removed. And yeah, it's incredible to see how much was removed from the beginning of the month to the end. Looking at the station trail, generally everything's cleared up. I find specifically the spot near the car. If that makes sense for everyone as a reference, still significant amount of mud, but not more than other years in my opinion. So that's Station Trail. There's that unnamed section between Baxter Creek's Court and McGuire Drive, that just little thing. There's a bunch of garbage someone dumped in there that I wasn't able to remove. I just didn't have time. That hopefully if we can run down, I can also run down and grab that sometime. And then also
Sorry,
there's a
can we get
tree.
Step on that for a minute. Garbage or like yard debris?
Garbage.
And it's actually been dumped.
Well, there's just a lot of it there. I don't know, it could also be from that giant pile of snow melting, but then there's also like, there's a destroyed chair someone left in there, and there's been a tire placed in there in the last few days, or since last week. I've noticed at one point it appeared.
Okay.
So I'm on that trail basically every day.
We've got
So
some.
Is it just like large items or is there bags of stuff in there too?
There's 2 large items, little bags, and just like, it
Okay.
takes someone 20 minutes to go collect it all. I just
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to do it
Okay.
myself.
We'll put it on the list, Chris, but are there signs up there? I think there are, I think. Like no dumping? I know you got them at the end of there.
Yeah, we got them there. I'll have to check there.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have them in other areas, yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference it makes.
Yeah.
If people are dumping chairs, that's not a kid eating a
No,
bag of chips.
no,
and,
it's, yeah.
You know, it's dropping it on the ground, yeah.
Is it,
Sorry.
sorry, is the other stuff like somebody dropped a garbage bag of stuff and it's spread, or
Yeah.
it's not just stuff that,
No, I think it's like a garbage bag of stuff. There's still like stuff in bags and then just a lot of random little things. But again, that giant pile of snow that sits right at the top there, I think also stuff that was left in there is now in that area. And then also regarding that trail, there is a tree down across it. There was an image in that report and I have it here. It's very easy to get around and stuff, but something that we should address, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and put it on the list for sure. Chris, is it all right if on workday, if we pile the garbage at the end of the court there? You guys can grab it?
Yeah, well, staff will be there, so we can just throw it in the truck and
Okay.
get rid of it. Well, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna have staff with you.
Okay.
No. And then, in my opinion, the Meds Mountain section of the trail generally looks quite good, apart from that small debris that you see everywhere. Regarding Baxter Creek, I sent out in my email, there's a map and it has little labels of where each of these locations that I note are, along with a little legend explaining them all. But along Baxter Creek, when you first get into like the separation to the new bridge, there's a drainage pipe that's been pulled out that we're gonna need to replace and probably bury in a little bit. Along the new boardwalk, I took a look, and generally I find the area where the boardwalk was left as it is, there doesn't seem to be many nails sticking out. The areas that there's some nails that I think we should address are where the boardwalk was ripped off and it's just left to the side, because there's kind of nails everywhere there. Where the boardwalk was left, I think long-term we'll need to deal with it as that rots away, but for now it's not an issue. And then I'm sure you all know that section just past the boardwalk where the mud is basically impassable, or the mud is incredible, it's almost impassable, except a lot of people have dragged old boardwalk there and pieces of wood, which makes it walkable, but something we should probably address in that area. It had been mentioned that it'd be nice to get some work done on the trail, the fourth line, and I've never actually been on that before. It is basically a marsh, except for the regions where there is boardwalk, but the boardwalk is a lot like you step on it, it turns up on the other end type thing. So it'll need a good amount of attention in through there. We didn't make it all the way to Zion. We could see Zion, but there was a point where like, we are got wet shoes. We're not gonna go the rest of the way. On the part that is where the trail kind of separates into two loops towards the end, not the one right before Zion that you recently did to avoid the mud, but the section before, in the new area that's not very well used, there is a tree down across the trail in there that hasn't been addressed. It's a pretty large tree. There's a picture in that email that I can reference, or I can pass this around. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the bridge that goes up towards the fairgrounds has sustained some damage due to a tree that fell on it during the storm. I noticed that, but somebody's already removed everything that is broken off has already been removed, so it's just now left a little open right at the beginning.
Didn't we picture that?
I have it on my phone.
And just for reference,
Tree number 7 would be helpful to have removed.
I
before-
can't open that, so I can't see
Oh,
any.
okay, I can send it as a PDF. I think it's
Okay.
because I'm on an Apple.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. okay.
Yeah,
I'll-
I was gonna mention to after the file, we saw the Mac thing and we're all on Windows over here.
Okay, no, my bad. I will send it as PDF.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Broken. First,
You can see where my dog's sitting,
the
sorry.
whole first section.
It's it had just broken, it was like bent off, but then by tomorrow, yesterday, someone had removed it all.
And there's a piece of wood in the creek, that's probably been there too long, took them twice already for a bridge.
and
So it's a full length.
the other piece, which was actually the top handrail, which is like a T bit, that was in the creek, and I dragged it out, and it's just on the bank on the other side, and that's still okay. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did send you a sideways picture so you can see.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay.
Did you look at the road to see if it was, it looked a bit rocky to me. Like if you could reattach it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't look pay that. That's what we mentioned.
I'll just add to that, something I just was made aware of. Someone called to my attention late this afternoon that they'd seen a tarp flapping out over Baxter Creek from that little peninsula beyond the first bridge on Baxter Creek, Lower Mid, where we often find a fort. And again, folks are building a fort. So it's about a fifth of the size of what we cleaned out a couple of years back. But it's just all pop bottles and.
Yeah, right in the same spot there.
coolers and, yeah, and one tarp. So if we get it down before it gets out of hand. It's kind of a shame. Everybody needs a place to be a kid, but.
Yeah, there have been some
Seriously, it's my-
beer bottles and cans near the bench just there as well, overlooking the
Okay.
creek.
Mhm,
Oh, and down the avocado first, yeah,
mhm.
okay. Okay,
So that would take a parent and kid, 20 minutes to clean up and bring out.
okay.
Mhm.
Any questions or any other comments on Saskia's report?
I was just gonna add with the broken handrail on the bridge that to me, it looked like the wood was a bit punky, like if you're just looking to go in and quickly reattach things. Just be
Yeah.
prepared for it to be a little
No.
longer than that.
Well, I'll go down maybe tonight and check it out. I haven't made it up there yet, but I still think we've got lots of wood in the yard, but there's still, I think, wood stashed at the bottom of the fairground cellar. Where we built the stairs.
Okay.
Maybe not enough, but
I don't remember seeing any there, but that doesn't mean,
anyway,
that doesn't mean it's not.
well, yeah, we've got, we're not sure on wood or something like that, but I'll figure out, or we can figure out what we need. And that's a potential, I think, a high potential for a workday project.
Yeah, I think it was very obvious that a big tree came down on it, so it wasn't a bit of
Oh, yeah.
rocket. And the main bit that had actually gave way was at the base of the vertical, like the very last vertical,
Right,
and that just snapped like at the base.
right. I think that's probably the only damage we've had on that bridge, and
Yeah,
what we built it probably 10 years ago, plus.
2013.
Was it? Okay, great. Do you want to read Griffin's or do you want me? Did you?
If you have access to it, then I didn't think to print it out here.
No, that's fine. Okay, Meadow Trail, started at the southern end of the Meadow Trail, conditions were relatively wet and muddy given the time of year. There was lots of evidence of the ice storm on the trails However, it looks as though it has all been cleared and there was a direct path without any major debris blocking the way. Cedar Trail, overall conditions were good, nothing major to note on Cedar that stood out apart from the continued notice of the downed limbs from the ice storm. Grand Trunk, very muddy in and around the trout ponds with the water level of the ponds themselves being quite high. DL Detour and Gang Transit, walked all of the detour coming in from Elgar Drive and conditions were okay. It's quite muddy as I neared the transition point to Ganny Transit. Time got away from me and I did not get the chance to finish the remainder of Ganny Transit. Okay, anybody been a full length of Ganny?
Yeah, I did that yesterday and it's drop dead gorgeous.
Okay,
Gorgeous, the whole length. So well worth a walk. So the hepatic is in full bloom, the trout, lily is starting to bloom and the blood is out. And even though the part of, the plantation property where the fourth row of plantation trees has been taken down by logging, and it looks a wee bit like a moonscape with fallen trees on it. It's still gorgeous. When everything leaves out, it's going to be fantastic.
okay,
So,
any work
and-
needs to be done?
No,
There's no.
No.
hanging limbs?
yeah, I want to know though, there are a lot of people who are remaining anonymous here, and I suspect that there are some in the room who have done like yeoman's work out there over a very short time to get this fixed. So I wonder if people who have been out there clearing could raise their hands. I know Kurt has, I know Chris has, I know Dave has, yeah. And the mountain bike club on those trails that we share have done yeoman service as well. And the little bit of picking up that I've been doing is always behind someone that has done a whole lot more and a whole lot of heavy lifting as well. So I really appreciate it. And thanks too for the work around that shattered willow at the old memorial garden at this front of
Yeah, that was interesting.
thank you so much. Yeah. I still think we probably should put at least cones around that and maybe caution tape on workday, just so that little kids aren't working under it, because there's still a few.
So there
hangers
is,
up at the
there is
top.
a couple big hangers that are a little too high in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we should do that before the day begins, but it's amazing how much work you guys have gotten done on that, so thank you so much. And we're seeing loads of people out, especially in the last couple of days. It's very, very well used. I even saw, I suspect a mountain biker had 3 kids, 2 in a trailer and one on those little chimpanzee non-pedal bikes. I don't know what they're called. They didn't exist when my kids were young. And they had gone all the way out from Elgar Circle, all the way out to Ganny Transit where the barbecue is. And they were just having a blast. It's the driest that Fire Route 3 has ever been, I think, at this time of year, or at any time. So people are really enjoying it.
I would just add the first bridge getting onto Ganny Transit, so by the barbecue, by the fire route there. At the end of the bridge, so as you cross over onto Ganny Transit, it's starting to lose boards. And I think it's from bikes hitting whatever the first board is. And eventually the screws breaking and then that board disappearing and then the next one, months later or a year later, getting knocked. So I counted definitely 3, if not 4 boards that are missing there. And it's right at the end, so it overlaps the flat ground anyway, and not the creek. But we should replace those and we should have something that will deflect a tire, so it's not, so that first board is not taking the impact.
We were building a ramp. Like
We build a ramp. I think the other side just has some like a cut log or something in the ground. Anything, whatever would work, just to relieve the pressure on the first board.
Kurt?
Did either of you notice at that bridge, because last time I was there was quite a big tree that was kind of half stuck under it.
I did not,
Yeah,
I know
okay.
farther down the creek, because I walked down the creek quite a little bit, there's a lot of stump down, but I didn't notice that one.
Okay.
That's when I was interacting with that young family, though, so.
I don't think it's there. Was it there last year?
No, it was there, yeah, probably a month ago, something like that, and it just reminded me of it. It was just big enough that it was like, well, that could be a concern if there was a bit of a flood and it started blocking up. But hopefully either it's been dragged out by a couple of people, because I tried and couldn't, I kind of move it but not far enough, or maybe it's just gone under the bridge. But anyway, if we do go out there, just have a look at that in case.
And those, sorry, those are 4 footers, right? We've got that bridge, those are 4 foot
Yeah.
pieces,
Yeah, well, yeah, ish, but it would make sense if they'd be for.
Okay, I'll cut them, I'll pre-cut them, then because them that small, not gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, just Maureen acknowledging all of the volunteer work that went on to clear the trails, that it was people within the community, it was just done on their own initiative in a lot of cases. It was really great to see. I think people, maybe it's the time of year where there's a lot of enthusiasm towards the snow melting and people getting out on the trails that have, weather impacting the trails like that. It just, people were keen, they rallied, but it was great to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of community ownership.
The only other spot that I wanted to mention is over the rail bed. There, I think they've been there for probably a year. There's a cluster of 3 trees that are just on an angle over the rail bed, leaning. They're good size. They don't look like they're going to fall on the trail. There's no immediate danger. They appear to be hung up on the far end, but they'll come down at some point. And I don't know if, I'm sure whoever you have that's chainsaw certified is still busy with all kinds of work, but it's probably just halfway down the rail bed if you came in from the gate.
Okay. Halfway, is it before the Grand Trunk pathway?
I think it's just before that. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's come up. I think they've been there for a year.
But past the bridge tunnel.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe just right in between those 2 spots.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's, sorry, I'm just obviously collating all these as part of the work day, the plan. But maybe that's something, another thing that staff could take a look at that day.
That staff's not gonna be chainsaw certified, so,
Oh,
yeah, it's not.
Yeah, maybe some other time when it's not busy out there.
okay, thank you, Saskia and Griffin. Any other questions, comments on the travel report?
I just wanted, through you, Chair, I just wanted to commend you on, you both did very good reports, so.
Yes.
So does our now.
It's kind of a more important leading up to the
No.
workday, it felt like.
That was very good.
Thank you.
I kind of had the feeling that you were going to over deliver on both you and have going to over deliver.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, and then that leads us on to Section 8 workday planning. So.
Sorry, Chair Duxon, can we just have a motion to receive the trails report for information?
Motion to receive the trails for it. Lance, seconded by Don Collins. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, workday planning. Okay, so after our last meeting, and then when the ice storm hit, it's sort of my general thought was that, our workday would be spent cleaning up the damage, but as we've said tonight, a lot of that has been done. I don't think it's all been done, and I think it would be certainly worth a team or a few people to go out to various trails with maybe some handsaw and stuff, just to log things and maybe some rakes just to clear stuff off the main path. We can certainly identify where those areas might need attention. But it sounds like, as I said, a lot of that has been done and that we will have bodies to look at other stuff. So I've made a quick note here from our previous discussion. So I think the big one would probably be the Fairgrounds Bridge, rebuilding that section that has fallen. There will be, hopefully we can get staff to look at cutting the tree down by the fourth line prior to workday. We can discuss that with Chris. There are some signs to go up, still, which, some new signs and some signs that have been needed to go up for a while. There'll be mulch. I've requested mulch at 4 locations, one in the upper trailhead and lower trailhead on Baxter Creek, there in the Mid Mountain Park, as per usual.
Not sure there's enough up there. But
Yeah, yeah, and, on either side of, fourth line at Baxter Creek. And I also talked to Chris last week about the possibility of spreading mulch, by the bridge that's gonna be replaced behind my house by the library. Because I think it would probably mitigate some of the construction activity and the work there, but I don't know how many of you were back there, but there were a number of trees down in that area, and there's a lot of limbs and things still there, so it doesn't really make sense. And Chris, I don't know, as per my email today, I don't know whether you have a sense whether that might be complete.
Have you been down there? Is it still there?
Oh, yeah, it was back there today, yeah. It was
Okay,
there.
so the guys told me they were through there already.
I mean, it's passable.
Yeah.
But like, there's still a lot of, like, they basically, I mean, not that they didn't do work, but I didn't get the sense they moved anything away, they just sort of cut it and made it so that it's passable.
I'll have a look and we'll,
Okay.
follow up on it, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's easier, I don't know, I mean, one would think in some terms of efficiency, like if you just fed them through the wood chipper, you could just spread them out while you were there, but I don't know whether you can get a wood chipper down, or I don't know what your process is.
Yeah, we can get the wood chipper in there.
Okay,
It's on
yeah,
that,
yeah, so, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So anyway, if that's gone, and you guys have time, if you could drop some mulch there, that would be great, but if not, I don't really think it makes sense right now, because it'd probably be more getting in the way of your people doing what they need to do.
Yeah, so they
And-
probably just opened it up to get through there.
Exactly,
For now,
yeah.
because they were going through the whole system the last
Right.
week and a half, so.
Yeah, it was pretty bad the day after. And then, I mean, again, that's something that we could do later on in the summer, right? Once the bridge work is done, we could just, it would take an hour or two for a couple people to spread mulch in that area, so it's not high on the list. Dave, we talked a lot about the bridge, putting a new overhead section on the bridge, so we can add that to the list.
Sure.
Right? Clean up of the fort along Baxter Creek, as Maureen mentioned. Putting new boards on the bridge at the end of DLD tour. And possibly building a ramp. And maybe again, staff cutting the 3 trees on the rail line. We could also build boardwalk past the floating bridge where Saskia mentioned, where it's muddy. But I'm not sure where we're at with that, Chris.
So where we're at with the policy right now is it's with Orca and it's with MNRF right now, so the draft policy, they're reviewing it, making comments on it. We did ask for if you wanted to build boardwalks for work days, site plan sort of where, so we could talk through with Orca and get a permit wise going, like it will require permits to build boardwalks. So, yeah, so I think if we hold off on the boardwalk for the workday and we'll have to do that when we got a little more planning time, like we only got a week, right? But
Okay, what's did Orca and MNR come back with a timeline on when they might?
no, it's with them right now, so it's sort of everybody's little swamped right now with what's gone on lately, so. Even MNRF, like they haven't had a chance to get out and walk around, they want to get out and do a site visit and then comment.
Okay,
I'm just wondering.
Hopefully sooner than later, but yeah.
I'm wondering if at some point during workday, we could do a walkthrough of the damaged area, the area that was damaged due to equipment and construction. Just to get a sense as to how much of the cleanup of that we're going to do and what to ask Orca for in the way of advice about what we can bring in to fill the ruts or whether they're ever going to be properly rateable. Just to redistribute the same material that's there. They're pretty compressed. But I don't know, we've never really seen that area dry since it happened. So maybe this is the year that we could just rate things.
Is that, any of that being addressed in this draft policy?
Phil will be, yes.
Mhm.
I think that's, I don't know how you're planning on getting Phil in there, though. I think you're more wanting to build boardwalk in there, wouldn't you be?
Some.
Like,
but
it's not really, accessible spot to be
Probably.
wheelbarrowing in.
Yeah,
Fill,
probably good
right?
at both, because it has to be fairly level to get the boardwalk level. I mean, we could wheelbarrow fill in or whatever, sacred soil required, will be, okay for that area. From Zion, we could wheelbarrow it in from Zion.
It's a long way.
Yeah, I know, but we've done.
Well, either way, we gotta bring materials in for if we build boardwalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least with the boardwalk, you build the frame, take the frame, and you take the boards in, you put together, right? It's not,
Mhm.
that's a long way to go with the wheelbarrow to. For a little.
Mhm.
So will the wording in the agreement, like, will it be such that if Orca approves the building of a boardwalk, that it would be automatic that leveling would be done first?
So the leveling is going to, it's gonna depend on what Orca says, cause it's depending on where it is, whether it's gotta be clean fill, it's the MNRF, so they may not let you use limestone, they may want clean fill, it's gonna all depend where it is and what it
No,
is.
that- Sorry, for clarification, no, it was just a matter of taking shovels and rakes, filling in the.
Oh, just to level it off and,
Yeah.
yeah, so they're commenting on that.
But that would be like, I guess you can't really comment, because that's probably not your department, but. would it
Like
be that
filling
they
in,
will-
leveling it off with shovels out there, you mean, not bringing in fill, just leveling it and then
Yeah.
filling the boardwalk, yeah.
'Cause if-
Yeah, cause the boardwalk's gonna have to have, like a base on it too, it's gonna have to have like, deck blocks like the other one, right? So there's gonna be posts and deck blocks, so you can level it that way, right?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
well, I didn't, so we haven't,
Like, it's not just a matter of setting the boardwalk on the ground.
well, but that'll be specified, I guess, 'cause
Yeah.
we've never used the deck blocks.
Yeah.
But so if we're allowed to build boardwalk, then we will be allowed to use that and that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
So we're not allowed to build boardwalk within deck blocks?
So as of right now, the policy is being reviewed, so, yeah.
And to further John's point, if we wanted to just rake over ruts without bringing material in, just using sort of what's there, is that gonna require permission? Or is that something we're gonna be able
They're
to do?
reviewing the policy right now. I can't comment
Okay.
until they've done their review, made their comments.
I just want to say that for work day, I don't think I'm going to be leading a whole crew of people through that section to get to where we want to plant on Baxter Creek Trail. So we'll walk through the village to the fairground entrance, go down the hill, and plan out in two directions to avoid that area. Because it is frankly barely passable for a period for about, I don't know, 30 feet.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
Well, it's just gonna get worse with the rain that's coming. Right?
Yeah.
There was boardwalk there in the past, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's just.
Yeah, it's always been a wet area.
Well, it's destroyed by the.
Okay, so, and then we have planting, as Maureen mentioned, and we can, clean up some of the old boardwalk, past the floating bridge. Other thoughts to have on the list? Work that needs to be done, should be done, dreams of getting done.
I think certainly this side of the floating bridge, that's probably the worst, ugliest area where we can just move bits of the old boardwalk just out of view, just clean it up, and in general, maybe do that a bit on the other side, but the worst bit is definitely that first bit coming.
Agreed.
And that would be, most of it's actually separate sections that are just sort of off to the side and have already been
Mhm.
uncoupled, so that it would be easily moved.
Agreed, yeah. Is there anywhere that anybody thinks that a crew of people should go with lot size and stuff that needs to be done? Or are we pretty good on that?
The ice storm took care of most of that. The only section is just past where we've been talking about, where there's some missing boards all gone, maybe it's this side of it. During the winter, there was, it used to be you went round what all the invasive,
Oh, the
no, the ones that you tagged, that you were gonna get out in
Oh, the
September.
buckthorn.
Buckthorn.
Yeah.
Where the path used to go around Buckthorn, and then over the winter, there was a path, a much better path went through the or the other side of the Buckthorn, and it was a better path, but now the Buckthorn came down on that bit. So that's the only bit I can think of,
Yeah,
it's a mine.
yeah, but buckthorn remediation, other than clearing fallen bits, thankfully they fall sometimes, which is nice if they do so naturally on their own. But, any buckthorn remediation that we do will have to be a separate day, at a separate time. Other than.
Yeah.
But they remain marked, so
Excuse me.
we should take advantage of that and try to get it done this, year.
Okay, and then another job, Kirk, is leveling of the ductwork fourth line.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we'll be spreading mulch there, which is always good. We can see how much we get, but we can spread it into the new section too, if needed.
Yeah, that bit is pretty much good, apart
Yeah.
from
With the entrance.
yeah.
Yeah, in terms of the fourth line cutoff that you mentioned in your report, that's been needed to be addressed for quite a while, but I think we'll probably, would make sense to wait until we get the boardwalk report back, see what we can do there, because I think,
It's a
that
big
would,
project.
well, I think that would take, we could do a separate work day just on that. But the good news is that it's very accessible, right? We can just walk stuff in pretty quickly, so. We can work on that, so we can work on that when the time comes. It doesn't seem anything really needs to be done on station.
Other than that tree and the garbage.
That's not on station.
That's not on station, that's the little cutoff there with Baxter Creek Court.
Down to McGregor. So
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
it
trees,
is.
that's what I.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
That's the little bridge that Griffin built.
right, and they've always had garbage.
Yeah, that's, but I mean, it doesn't always have dumped garbage.
You know.
The garbage is usually kids just sort of hanging out by the creek there.
Mhm.
I think a general cleanup too. I've had a message from the scouts and, that they're gonna come on Saturday, so that's good. Like, always good to have kids spread mulch and general garbage pickup. Things are fairly clean, but, we had a couple of really windy days there and even my recycling got blown around. I'm leaving it out on a Thursday night, so there's stuff around the pond that could just be sort of cleaned up and spruced up a bit. I noticed, Chris, that there's, again, that your team's done a great job in cleaning up, and I know there's a lot to do. They've piled a lot of the limbs and stuff along the creek there by the islands. In between the dam and the Distillery Street Bridge.
Yep.
Like they raked it all up. Should we just leave that there for them to get, or? Like, I assume you were gonna bring it
Is
up.
it piled down by the bridge there?
Piled by the creek. It's
Yeah.
just all the stuff that fell off.
Oh, it's not up at the road though, it's down,
It's still down by the creek.
okay, yeah, no, we are, is that from that willow?
It's from all of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's,
okay,
yeah.
so that's, that was public works, so they might be back to chip it. I'll find it though.
Well, should we just leave it, or if we have the people power, should we bring it up to the road?
I think maybe just concentrate on the trails and don't worry about that, and yeah, we'll get to that, because they might already have plans for it,
And Maureen, you've got locations in mind where you wanna plant?
Yes,
And you
yeah.
can determine your team on Saturday morning,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah.
Dave, do you wanna, you and I can tackle the,
I won't actually be here.
oh, you
I
will,
meant to tell you.
okay,
Yeah.
no, that's fine.
Soccer tournament in Niagara Falls.
Okay, so we'll get should you and I do the Ganny Transit Bridge another day then?
Sure.
Cause you've got sort of a specific idea, don't you?
A willingness to figure it out, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and I'll help you with whatever you want. I don't wanna just slap something up, because it's too pretty for them.
Oh, not that bridge. I'm
Not
sorry,
Victoria
sorry,
Bridge.
you're talking about the.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, but you and I can do that maybe another day.
Sure.
Because, like, I think between the two of us, we could. Right, if I fix something up on the board and then in the workshop, then you and I can just go down and install it.
Yeah.
But I'd like your input on what that would look like, because I don't wanna just throw an 8-foot board up, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's all I was imagining, just, and
Okay.
this is for the nicer of the two Ganny Transit bridges.
Yes.
That it used to have something across, and I think we can just have the rest of the committee.
Yep.
You know, that's all right.
Yeah. Okay, well, but we can make it nice and mad if you want, I mean, it's not, anyway, we can.
I rely on you to make it nicer.
Okay,
The 8-foot board that I was imagining.
okay, I'll go down maybe tonight to the Fairgrounds Bridge and see what's needed, take some measurements, and maybe I can have stuff pre-cut and pre-made the day out. But we could bring that in through the fairgrounds, so it's not too bad a hike, and we'll have a team to do that. Is there anybody else that's not going to be at the work day? Griffin's not.
Griffin, I
for work
think,
day,
yeah.
right?
He's not in the country, I think he's what is.
Okay, well, it sounds like we've got, some fairly good, I posted it, fairly good feedback. I posted it twice on E-Plus, so we've got some good responses, and, thank you, Maureen, for putting the posters out, and I see it's up on the digital sign at the fire hall.
Yeah, it's on the township website under the banner as well. It's really nice there.
Yeah, we got some posters around, some down the arena here.
Mhm, mhm. And despite Thursday and Friday looking pretty bad, Saturday looks okay. 10 or 12 degrees and.
That's not what I just read.
Oh, dear.
I read 4 degrees. That was it. Nothing. That's what I checked on my phone not that long.
They don't know anymore. till
They don't
the
know
day before.
anything.
Look out the
Oh,
window.
I'm sorry. I'm reading the low. For the but yeah. High of 11.
I have
There
11,
we go.
yes, it's
I'm just
75,
cloudy.
which is kind of what you want.
Yeah.
You don't really want it too hot right now. Okay, well, as usual, I'll have a list of what needs to be done, and the morning of, we can figure out how many people we have and send people out on appropriate jobs. Any other thoughts on that? Any other comments? Sorry, go ahead.
We're just gonna ask the committee to come any earlier to organize it all, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there, so, if you want, I mean, usually what I do is I just sort of put the tools down, I'll lean them up against the gate there at the end of the distillery, but yeah, certainly there'll be some of us around if you wanna come a bit earlier. Those of you that live close and can, bring wheelbarrows or a wheelbarrow, that's always much needed, especially we've got 4 spots this year to maybe 5 to spread mulch. It's always better to have more than less. If you do bring tools, make sure that they're marked with your name or some sort of identification, because every year we have stuff left and we don't know where it goes. I've collected a nice little group of shovels over the years, which are just keep in the shed. Okay, I think the only other thing to do is talk about barbecue, which I think will just be the same as usual, but I assume we need a motion to be able to set a budget for the barbecue.
Yeah, if something's coming out of the committee budget, then it would be good to have a spending limit approved. So if you have an idea of what the figure would be from past years, we can go at that.
I don't have that. I meant to go to Costco this week and get pricing because everything's gone up, but I haven't managed to do that. I'm gonna go tonight, but that doesn't do so good.
If you have an upset limit, I don't know how much you would buy, but let's say this is an example figure, this is not me suggesting it, just to be clear, like, $200 or something, I imagine if you have a lot of people in barbecue, that would probably cover all the stuff.
Is it possible to look what we had previous years?
I was sort of thinking around 250 it was.
250, ringing the bell, I'm just
Yeah.
worried about
So,
the cost of stuff,
yeah.
not that we're gonna
You
buy.
can set it higher and
You
you
can
can
set
just
it.
don't spend that much, right?
Yeah.
Like it's set at 400 and
Yeah, I suggest 400
Yeah.
and then.
you don't spend it, you don't spend it.
Three,
Yeah,
three
I
fifty.
mean, it's the basic stuff with burgers and hot dogs and some water and
Salads,
salad, yeah.
chips. Well,
No, what about chips?
somebody's brought chips.
Nobody likes chips.
I don't get chips very often.
You better get chips.
And no, I don't eat chips.
Just before we make that motion, Chris, just another question. Is there any timing on distribution of, picnic tables?
They should all be out now, but we can, you need a couple more up there for the weekend?
No,
They're pretty close to being out, I think.
okay, I didn't, I think there's one down on the island, but I didn't see any, there's none in Manson.
There's two up
Yeah.
above now, like metal ones.
And then there's two over on my side.
They have sort of been working on it when it's been
Okay.
raining out, right? So they've been on the trails and in the facilities, it starts raining, they're picking up picnic tables and dropping them off.
Okay,
And
I
yeah,
just
so,
had my blinders
yeah,
on, I guess I haven't.
yeah.
noticed.
I
Okay,
think they're
okay.
pretty close to having them all out now though.
Yeah, that's what yeah, because usually we just bring them over to
Yeah.
park a couple in my driveway
Yeah.
for extra seating, the day of. Okay, wonderful. All right, can I have a motion for an upset limit then for the general stay barbecue?
Move for 400 upset limit.
John, second by John, all in favor? Okay, I'll try to go Friday night so that things are as fresh as possible. But sometimes I go Thursday because things get sold out on Friday.
You can go Thursday.
Yeah, no. Okay, any other thoughts on that then? No, okay, I think move on very quickly to our 8.2 work plan. I think we'll go through this very quickly. Focusing on work day here. Number one, no update. Number two, Maureen,
No,
no update. Three, Kurt.
No, unless.
So three,
Been anywhere.
yeah, so three, so I did meet with GRCA, I think we talked about that last time. So I was in contact with the county GIS and they said, yeah, we could come up with a trail program for you. So I'm going to meet with them. They wanted to meet near the end of May because they're kind of swamped right now too, and they'll come up with a little idea and we'll bring it to the committee and the GIS, the county technician will come and we'll walk through it and you guys can see what you think and we'll go from there.
Any questions on that? Nope, all right. John, number four, still on hold?
As far as I know, it's on hold. There hasn't been another meeting yet.
No, so this is another one. So we met with the GRCA. So it has been, we've been looking to have an agreement. They're looking to have an agreement with all municipalities surrounding them. I know you guys want to open the trail, the North Trail into Ganny there. So they are for that. There hasn't been an agreement in the past. It was, there was talks about it. We do have some Millbrook Valley trails that are drift onto their property and off of their property, and they just want an agreement in place first. Cause it's a joint agreement because we're on their property. We're gonna be using their property. They're gonna be back on our property. So we want a joint agreement in place before they open that trail up again, but they are open to opening that trail up again. And the agreement is in progress right now. It's just a matter of them bringing it to the township for review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need any, involvement from committee?
No, at this point, it's a staff level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which trail are they in favor of opening up? So we have Gannon Transit going across the top. They're gonna make a connection to us. Is that?
So they want, they didn't really say which one it would be. They're open to a northern connection in there.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
So whether it's the one that's
change.
already there reopened or
Mhm.
yeah, but they're open to a connection. They just want that agreement in place because there is liability between the two, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not urgent.
In my, sorry, go ahead.
I just, word of thanks to staff, because I was getting kind of unhopeful. So-
Yeah, no, it was a good meeting, yeah.
And then I just had our meeting with the GRCA and they were actually discussing about potentially putting a parking lot or needing to put in a parking lot in that section as well, right?
It's somewhere down in there, yeah.
Down in there, so it would be that added benefit, so as I talked with them, they were like, hey, I know that, I think the committee originally thought that there was an actual agreement in place, then it was more like a wink and a handshake, so after, as Chris had done that, kind of thing, they were like very much in like wanting to work with us and reopen it, so it's a really good sign, and then they said as well from input on that, once the agreement's in place, they're more than happy to work with you guys on where you wanna, we can come up with 3 recommendations or something of where we would most like to see it, like 1, 2, 3, and then I'll pick one of those kind of things, so.
Okay, great. And parking area off Glenmorgan?
So it'd be on their property and not 100% at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Positive. Okay, number 5 is on hold, number 6 is ongoing. I'm hoping to have a few boxes to be able to put up on workday. 7,
No update.
no update, 8 ongoing. 9. Still early.
It's still early. I haven't seen anything sprouting yet. All the things I see sprouting are nice things.
Rhubarb's coming up.
10, Chris, still ongoing as?
Yeah, as we sort of talked about that, it's with currently with Orkin MNRF right now,
Okay,
but it's it's moving along though.
number 11,
The naming policy, yes, do we have that?
Do you want me to go to the truck?
Yeah. Basically, we came up with draft wording for it. I don't know if anybody, you want me to read this off, or can you guys see this, or? Yeah, if you wanna give it a read here and let us know what you think.
So don't have any issue with what's there, it's more what's not there in terms of we were also hoping for some naming and or dedication to, I remember that was how this all came about. So.
Yeah, so that's one thing, so. The bridge and the boardwalk, like this is how it came to fruition, right? And it was these fundings, yeah. So we don't really want to get into naming names all over the place. We don't really have we don't have a full policy in place yet, so this is sort of the sign for the bridge and the boardwalk.
so is there a policy and gonna be another policy in place?
So, go ahead.
No, I didn't want, you want to speak to it, Chris?
You can,
Yeah, so we did have a discussion at the staff level, and right now, for any naming policy, stuff on the trail is not gonna be included in it as a process. Basically, what was decided for this was, this is a draft wording, for the acknowledgement of the thing. The sign isn't the place to have, any commemoration of former committee members. So this is, what was decided for the funding acknowledgement for the bridge, because that's where the money came from.
So back to our original question then, is there any policy or any restriction for us putting on a separate little plaque, same as we have on the other bridge that is completely separate from this?
so it would need to be approved by staff, like it's not, you just go ahead and put up. So that's, I don't know how far you wanna go with this, like, is it, like. When we start naming,
It's just-
dedicating stuff to people,
It's
like, it
occasional
sort
one-off
of,
things.
yeah, like, it sort of dictates all over, right? Like, whether you're naming, just for example, naming streets after people, or you're naming bridges after people, or it's, we're trying to stay away from that and go to the actual where the funding came from, right?
Okay, so that's fine and well that we're acknowledging where the dollars are coming from, but I think really we still are circling around the same issue and it's not being answered. So if the situation dictates then that someone on this committee drafts what you want the acknowledgement to say, then we'll bring it forward to staff to review, and then you guys can make your decisions from there. But it doesn't seem like you guys want to answer this question of acknowledgement. So then let's at least you guys come forward and say, Yvette said no, and that's gonna be the policy for all things across this. I personally don't see how it's an issue where we can't acknowledge the people in our community that have done things over, you know, you name libraries and all the other things, streets. I understand that that's a municipal, it's taxpayers' dollars. This is something that out of our committee, we're gonna fund the money to put a plaque up somewhere. So we should be able to figure out and find somewhere that we, if it's an entrance to the park, on the way in, if it's the bridge itself, but this doesn't, this seems to me that it's being skirted around for the sake of us not wanting to deal with this. And I get that this is a funding thing. We'll acknowledge who gave the dollars and where it came from. So let's try to get this resolved, because I'm feeling like you guys are gonna get frustrated. I'm getting frustrated that we're circling around this again. I will go and talk with the vet, and it's not a reflection on either of you guys, because you're only reporting back what's the circumstances, but then if this is the case, I want to hear it come from her then we'll stop knocking on this door. But it doesn't seem to me like there should be a reason why we can't do this.
If I could just suggest, if you do that, or regardless, we can just provide a little picture of the one existing plaque we do have on the Fairgrounds Bridge, or the little plaque that we have actually embedded into the handrail. It's not exactly.
And the plaque at the entrance of the Distillery Street.
Yeah.
Entrance that talks about the founding members for the trail, of the trail system. Okay, yeah, we appreciate it if we could do that.
Yeah, so this one here is for the bridge and boardwalk,
Yeah.
right? Like the bridge and boardwalk.
Thanks for the
this-
bucks,
this is
and
how
we'll
the bridge and
totally
boardwalk
bow down
came
and
to
thank
fruition,
whoever
right?
came to it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think though that there's parts in the community, like, you know, we're going to paint murals and acknowledge these people that were great that did stuff. This is, you know, this isn't as important to this committee as anything else that's happening in the community. So if it's a matter that we want to put something up, I don't think that we're asking too much and that it needs to be this difficult. We'll obviously differentiate between where the dollars came from opposed to we think that these people deserve to be recognized. So I'll work with you guys. I will draft something language wise. You tell me who you want it to be acknowledged to, how to properly spell their first and last name, and we'll see where this goes from here.
Somewhere I have a picture of the John Sell plaque.
Okay.
Just a really simple, really.
I think in a different area, yes,
Yeah.
but this
Yeah.
is for this bridge, right? The
Yeah,
bridge and boardwalk.
Totally. And it's, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we've got
Yeah.
13 kilometers of passive walkways that we should be able to find somewhere where we're able to put up and acknowledge the people that we want in this community.
Yeah, speaking of, I think we have more than that, don't we? Where'd that number come from? Oh, it's just from the brochure.
Brochure's 13 kilometers. I believe.
Okay. Fine. Did anybody guys done zip check with Barron County Foundation? You need to, is that, are you gonna be okay with that?
I'll have to follow up with you on that.
Sure, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but
Yeah.
maybe they have.
Yeah, no, it was,
Maybe they have-
it was talked about.
Okay.
Maybe they have a logo that they would like as well or something, or
Yeah.
some sort of
I
thing.
think just from a grammatical standpoint, you need to italicize the Baron Cowan Foundation. And I'm not sure about our DO8 or the FEDA.
It's possible, so we don't italicize because it's non compliant with AODA standard.
Okay.
I know that's a very
Okay, cool.
particular thing, but
That's
it's something that we're obliged to comply
Nope,
with.
that's good.
Yeah,
And the township logo's not gonna go on?
Oh,
so,
So that was one of the one things that I was kind of confused with. If the township logo isn't going on and the township is referenced in it, But you're not gonna put the logo on it, then I think you should change the second last sentence that says this bridge is a boardwalk that enables greater access to our beautiful trail system than it should be to the beautiful trail system.
No, this is
I
good
think
feedback, like,
our is
township,
correct, but
township logo should be on there.
yeah, the
Yeah,
township
no,
logo
this is
should
good
be
feedback,
there.
we're
Okay,
looking for
then
feedback
that's
from
fine.
it, yeah.
If you're gonna put the township logo, then our beautiful trail system is fine. And if we wanna, be extra thankful, then in the first sentence before it says the boardwalk was provided by, you can put the boardwalk was generously provided by.
The nice thing about this is it will allow us to finally formally open the bridge. But, yeah,
This is just, I'm nitpicking maybe, but is there a logo for the Federal Economic Development Agency? Or we're just using the Government of Canada logo as a blanket?
FedDev is an agency of, the Federal Economic Development for Southern Ontario is a agency of the Government of Ontario. So we figured with the Government of Canada logo, it is the primary funder. So
You don't need a Government of Ontario logo?
the Government of Ontario, at least from the wording of the grant itself and the administration, the RTO's 8 is an organization that was created by the Government of Ontario, but they did not provide any funding. They just administered the funding for the bridge, so they weren't actually a financial contributor. So we made the decision not to have the logo.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if somebody at township could check with Barron County Foundation, because they were very generous, so if they want something more than just the Barron County Foundation words, that we should probably accommodate.
The final point longer stays up. Maybe the penultimate sentence, this bridge and boardwalk enables greater access, because otherwise it's not future tense, it's already exists.
Yeah, that's a good point.
found it. So I'll send this little plaque to, shucks, it's in a video. I'll show it to you folks afterwards, and I'll try to get a still of it. Yeah. Screenshot it, of course. Yeah, I'm real adept at all this stuff.
If it's a small video, you can always send it to us, Maureen, and we can just look at it as well.
Yeah, okay, and would this be, have you thought this far ahead in terms of what this would be, like a plaque on the bridge, before the bridge?
Be a sign,
Just a
because
sign?
it's kind of wordy, so we'll put it on a sign.
How would it be then, how would this work if we wanted to then maybe name a trail itself after someone that we wanted to acknowledge? Is that gonna be, like, obviously we would clear it through you guys first, but would this be an obstacle where we wanted to name a trail after a person instead? Cause that, that's a little bit more, people will be using that more on it's a little bit more substantive than just like, you can see a plaque and not everyone's gonna read the plaque, but every person walking the trail will go, oh, I've just turned on to the D'Agostino Trail and hey, I wanna get my bike out here or that, like, is that ever discussed?
Kurt Kilsley celebration.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
the Glen Falls Awesome Parkway.
So
Has that ever been discussed in the
That
past?
one's never come on.
So maybe that might be something that we wanna look at.
Yeah, I mean, previously, when we built a new trail, we've just kind of. we've
This is
named
the
it.
Baxter Creek, this is
We've named it,
the.
and so,
Yeah.
but who knows what will have to happen.
So this is something, so the trail master plan needs updated, right? This is
Yeah,
something that could be
okay.
incorporated. in the trail
When's the
master
last time that's been updated?
isn't it going
plan.
through?
Right off my hand,
I feel like it was, no, I'm thinking the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the Trail Master Plan, it's been a while. I wanna say in the 2010s.
2011, I believe, or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's on your work plan here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's number 1 on your work plan.
Okay.
So it is in need of updating,
Yeah.
and that's something that would be incorporated, then,
Okay,
right?
that
Same
would be a
with-
good thing to
same with,
maybe. I think I'm gonna spearhead to try to get this number 1 finished before I'm off the council, so that it gets done. It doesn't get kicked to the next council person, whoever that might be, so.
Okay, so you can take that feedback back to the appropriate people. Okay, thank you.
There is a video then, and then if you want, I'll work with you to draft what you might like the recognition.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
So 13, we can probably take off. Well, let's take that off maybe next meeting, because we'll might have dealt with that.
Just to you, Chair Jackson, at least from this meeting, I do have stuff from the notes in the trail report that we might add to this section if there is some lingering issues that need to be remediated on the trail. I guess.
Okay.
Actually, at some point, now that the weather's getting really lovely, it would be really great if we could walk here in that area. Just so that we got to see it, and we can put free up some time, on the do. Just so you can envision what we're actually dealing with. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
We can. Chairman,
Yeah.
would it be appropriate for us to make a motion to ask the CAO to give Mark a couple of hours to walk the trails with us?
Oh, I have walked the trails before, just that I haven't done it with a map, so I don't have the mental.
I didn't wanna, but
I would love to, though. I'd
yeah,
appreciate
like
it.
I think Maureen makes a good point that some of this stuff, we may sound kind of, I don't know, overly, sensitive about the humps and hollows and the mud and stuff. But it's, from our standpoint, there's some things that we would like you to see.
I understand you have the institutional knowledge of the trails. That's why we have the committee. So if I don't think we need a motion, I'd probably be happy to do that on my own. You don't have to get a vet to give me orders.
You guys want to arrange that?
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy. I love a good walk. We just take a good day with good weather.
Well, good luck with that.
We want you to see it works well, so we'll pick a bad day, not the day after a bad day.
Do we need a motion to accept the work plan?
Yeah, just to receive the updates and work plan, especially because the committee had comments on the sign, which we will pass along and to Councillor Natchop. We will, you had a specific ask, what we can tell you just for that is any naming of anything on the trails is not gonna be included on the commemorative naming policy, so well, can you try not making this go around?
Cool, thanks. I have a motion to accept the updates to the work plan. John, seconded by Dave. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, 8.3, items for next meeting. I would include workday recap. And update on dedication, Council Mantel. Anything else anybody would like to add? It's probably too early still to talk about it. Right? Leave that for you.
Yeah, Don, Paul and I are on trail report next month.
Yeah.
And with any luck at all, things will be poking out, so we'll be probably able to do negativity. Follow up with the end of the month. At the same time, that would be really good.
So you want to do
We'll include it if the weather cooperates with showing me where it is.
it? Okay, let's include it, and then if not, we'll just pass by it, say no update.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody would like to add? No? Okay. A motion to see the items for the next meeting. John's gonna do it, and it's all in favor? Wonderful. Okay, as you mentioned, yourself and John, the trail reports for next month. Can I have a motion for adjournment? John, seconded by Dave, all in favor? Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Look forward to seeing most of you on Saturday morning, and if you haven't done so yet, do your civic duty and vote.
Robin,
Thank you very much.
wanted to say thanks again for the maple syrup.